Welcome to Betrayal Stories. Before we dive in, make sure to press like and subscribe. It really helps bring more stories like this to life. His breath brushed my neck before I even had a chance to speak. One hand pressed firmly against my shoulder, anchoring me to the table while the other guided me backward, pulling me into a space that felt both familiar and impossibly foreign. I bit my lip, holding still. Not nodding, not speaking, but my silence seemed to speak volumes. They interpreted it as consent. I froze. My heart raced, pounding a rhythm that matched the tension in the air. The door behind me creaked, a sound so ordinary it almost seemed harmless. But the world felt suspended, as if even time was holding its breath. I didn't turn my head. I didn't speak. I remained rigid, listening. Then a whisper of voice that was not his slid through the quiet, "Happy birthday." The blindfold I wore was soft, cool against my skin, dimming the hallway light and turning the world into shadows. I perched cautiously on the edge of the mattress, hands resting in my lap, trying to anchor myself to something tangible. The room was unnaturally silent, the kind of silence that felt alive, waiting. I hadn't asked what time it was. I didn't want to know. I focused on my breathing, steady and deliberate, grounding myself in the calm that wasn't calm at all. Faint sounds surfaced, fabric brushing softly, glass clinking against wood, a pause, then stillness again. Something was here. Not him, not my husband. The presence was different, deliberate. A floorboard groaned near the doorways, low, deliberate. Another creak. Someone else, quiet, almost reverent, occupying the same space as me without stepping fully into it. My blindfold pressed gently to my skin. A reminder of the separation between sight and sensation. "Don't take off the blindfold," a voice instructed quietly. I obeyed, frozen, my body taut with anticipation. The floor creaked again, closer now, right behind me. I didn't move, but I could feel the air shift around me, the room itself bending toward expectation. Another breath, another movement. Not his, not my husband's. Someone else had entered this suspended world. "Happy birthday," the new voice whispered again. Calm, deliberate, with a certainty that made the words heavier than they seemed. It was as if he had rehearsed this moment for years, imagining the precise way my body might react to his presence. I straightened my back slightly, unsure where to place my hands, keeping them folded in my lap. The blindfold remained secure, a comforting barrier between my eyes and whatever lay ahead. I sensed motion without contact, faint shifts in the air, slight movements of cloth, subtle marking of someone's existence without touch. My husband remained near, silent, watching. His presence was constant, like a shadow at the edge of the room, not interfering, not controlling. The silence itself felt intentional, a space granted for choice and for awareness. "You look different," the man said finally, almost like an observation rather than a greeting. His tone was steady, measured, not rushed. A pause followed, just enough time for a shiver of anticipation to crawl across my spine. I could hear him moving, pacing slowly, not toward me, but around me, careful to respect an invisible boundary. Then the voice returned, softer this time, closer. "You don't have to move. Not yet. Just know you are not alone." The words sank into me. There was no demand, no pressure. Yet their weight pressed against my chest. A combination of reassurance and tension that made the room feel alive. I allowed myself to lean back slowly, hands bracing against the mattress, not guided, not forced. I moved because it felt necessary, because some instinct deep within me had chosen this course. The presence behind me shifted again, closer, almost brushing, but never fully touching. My pulse raced, a river of nervous anticipation flowing through me. The man's voice, still calm, still patient, reminded me of a hidden truth. You are strongest in stillness. Sometimes when you stop resisting, everything becomes clearer. I exhaled, letting the moment stretch, letting the silence hold me. There was no rush, no urgency, only the deliberate rhythm of observation, of closeness without intrusion. The room, the people. The air itself seemed to acknowledge that something monumental was about to unfold. A faint rustle of fabric, a slight shift of the mattress, and the blindfold loosened just enough that light began to filter through. I didn't remove it myself. Let it happen. Letting the scene reveal itself on its own timing. When I opened my eyes, the man was there. Deliberate, composed. No smile, no nervousness, just a presence that demanded attention through sheer certainty. My husband sat nearby, silent, observing, not interfering. The tension was palpable. The next words, softly spoken, carried the weight of inevitability. You are not alone in this, but you must decide what comes next. The room seemed to shrink, collapse inward, every sound, every movement amplified. I felt the presence behind me again, just a breath away. Deliberate in its proximity, yet careful to respect the boundaries of my awareness. Every subtle motion, every shift in the air, became a language of its own, a dialogue without words, a negotiation of power, patience, and attention. Time stretched, each second magnified. My mind raced, trying to process who was here, why, and what was about to happen. But a deep part of me realized that the answers were irrelevant. The choice was mine. Then came the first reveal. A soft, intentional movement to hand, perhaps, or just a shift in energy. Light fell across my face, filtering through the blindfold, illuminating not what I saw, but what I felt. The weight of intention pressed against me. Presence, not action. Anticipation, not interference. It was a moment of clarity. I understood, finally, that betrayal is rarely loud. It creeps in through the spaces between words, in the pauses between actions, in the quiet agreements we never explicitly make. It is felt in hesitation, in uncertainty, in the knowledge that someone close to us has crossed a line that cannot be undone. I turned slightly, still cautious, still observing. The man's voice, steady, deliberate, spoke again. You will remember this moment not for what was done, but for what you chose to see and what you chose to accept. I nodded, silently letting the words settle into my bones. My husband's quiet presence at the edge of the room was a reminder of the duality of human intention, both protection and betrayal coexisting in the same space. Minutes passed. Perhaps hours. I stopped counting. My awareness sharpened, every sound, every creak, every subtle change in air pressure marking a shift in the story. The tension was unbearable and yet perfectly measured, and then it came. The ultimate revelation of trust and betrayal. The man stepped fully into view. A figure of calm certainty, eyes fixed on mine with an intensity that demanded recognition. No words could capture the gravity of the moment. It was a quiet, deliberate unveiling of truth. My body stiffened, not from fear, but from comprehension. Every decision, every hesitation, every unspoken choice had led to this exact instant. And in that instant, the reality of betrayal was crystal clear. I realized then that some betrayals are not about action. They are about presence, about who is allowed to be there and who is forced to witness what unfolds, about the silent agreements we make, consciously or unconsciously, with those we trust the most. The room settled into stillness. My heartbeat slowed, settling into a rhythm that matched the deliberate breathing of the man before me. My husband remained at the periphery, silent, steady, a witness to the unraveling of trust. Now you see, the man whispered finally, that nothing is as it seemed, and nothing will ever be the same. I exhaled, not in relief, not in fear, but in understanding. The tension that had gripped the room, the moment suspended in time, the delicate interplay of silence and presence, all of it had revealed the truth. Betrayal is subtle, relentless, and always comes when we least expect it. I sat there, still and aware, the room heavy with revelation. The blindfold no longer necessary, the truth fully exposed. The moment had passed, yet its echo lingered. A reminder that some stories are lived not in action, but in awareness, not in loud confrontation, but in quiet. deliberate observation, and as I left the room that night, I knew something fundamental had shifted. Betrayal had walked in quietly, almost imperceptibly, but its imprint on my life, my mind, and my heart would remain forever.